Hello everyone and welcome to Jagran's Multimedia Newsroom. Today we have with us Mr. Colin Crowell, who's the policy head of Twitter globally, and Ms. Mahima Kaul, who is the policy head of Twitter India. Welcome to the show, ma'am and sir. Okay, so today we are glad that you guys took out the time to join us, and we have a series of questions to follow, so I hope you are all ready. Colin, I want to ask you my first question. We all know that Twitter has never shied away from launching new things or experimenting with new things. They have launched Twitter News or Twitter Moments or live notifications. So what can we expect next in this line? Can you open up a little about your future policies on this?
Well, certainly I echo that because I've been with Twitter 7.5 years, and when I joined Twitter 7.5 years ago, Twitter was 140 characters and a link. And if you clicked on the link, it took you somewhere else. And today, we're 280 characters, but it's media rich with photos, with video, but also the ability to go live and broadcast right from your phone on Twitter. And that integration of a media-rich experience with the textual component of Twitter is something that we want to make sure that people are taking maximum effective use of. Some of the things that we're bringing to India are going to take advantage of those attributes of the platform that currently exist. Certainly in the election context, we'll try to do that. Particularly the live video component, and going live is something that I think the video component of Twitter I think will be quite pronounced, and we'll see that more and more in Twitter India.
All right, and when can we expect that? Because elections are right here.
They're right now. We're right on the cusp of them. Okay. We've had some state elections, obviously, here in the country, but the national election looms. Yeah,
they are like a bigger thing to happen.
It's a much bigger thing. So there are a number of things that we're doing. So there is this experience in India of a Chopal that you can have with an elected official.
Twitter Chopal, he's saying? Wow, that sounds very fancy actually. Contemporary yet fancy.
Exactly. Yeah. But what we're endeavoring to do there is to highlight for elected officials and folks in India that you can democratize access to those officials, and also democratize the ability of people to know what's on the minds of citizens virtually. And so you don't physically have to go to the location, but you can participate through Twitter. And that's something that we'll be launching and we'll be seeing in various parts of the country. We also have an initiative called The Power of 18, which is focused on the youth. So as they turn 18 years old, to make sure that they're getting information through Twitter of relevance to the voting experience. And that's something we're also very excited about. We'll be bringing those initiatives and events to different parts of the country.
This Twitter Chopal, I think I want to know a little more about it. Mahima, do you want to throw some light on Twitter Chopal? Because that's something I think everyone wants to know.
Yeah, absolutely. So we've seen, obviously, politicians, elected members of parliament interact with Twitter over the years, and I think, much like what Colin has shared, the progress of Twitter itself, the way people have used it has changed. So I think earlier, what was the update? Or people held a rally and then they give you a picture saying that I went here and I held a rally. The difference is now you're in the rally, and it doesn't matter whether you're there physically present, but you can be on Twitter.
You can be at the comfort of your home and still be a part of the conversation.
And the difference also now is that you don't even, you don't need to be somebody from a big city, which is, I think, what the audience for Twitter earlier used to be. It's an urban kind of platform, of course. The Twitter has grown a lot in India, so I think politicians are responding to that growth. We're seeing a lot of language growth as well, and so they're taking it right into their constituency, into the country, and so the Chopal is a physical and a digital manifestation of that.
Yeah, that sounds awesome. In fact, because you brought that point in, I want to know how elaborated is the user base of Twitter, because we have all known Twitter as the urban social media platform ever since it was launched. But now I think the demographics have changed, and we have reached the rural areas as well. So do you want to give us some little stats on what is the reach of Twitter that way? I know you cannot give me numbers, but I'm sure you can tell me, like, it has gone up, down, where are we right now?
Well, just looking over the last year, but also comparing with the last national election cycle. What we've seen is, in part because of the march of technology adoption in different parts of the country, that the nature of Twitter use in India is shifting, so that the real growth is in non-English language Twitter. And so if you look at the last year when we did our end-of-year summary report, so to speak,
the
year on Twitter, I think of the top hashtags, the 10 top hashtags that were here in India, 6 of the 10 I think were not English.
They were regional languages.
They were regional languages, and so we certainly see that on the platform. We've seen that in some of the state elections, but we also see that in the conversational style that people are bringing to Twitter, that a lot of the conversations are now in non-English and in Indic languages.
Right. So what are we, how are we planning to introduce those regional languages? We all know Hindi, we all know maybe Bengali, but there are many more languages. So what is your idea of approaching that audience? How are you going to reach that particular audience, the regional audience?
Well, part of it will come with our engagement with political parties, including political parties that are regionally based. And that's the outreach that we're doing. Some of the initiatives with respect to the Twitter Chopals and also with the Power of 18 will be in events in different parts of the country that get us out of the major urban centers into places in the country where those Indic languages are quite prominent.
Yeah, so like I mentioned, Twitter is growing in many different languages. So sometimes our users actually tell us where they are going, and we also, we prepare for it, we respond to it. So the Twitter platform is actually available in multiple Indian languages in any case. So if you're not an English speaker, you're not a Hindi speaker, you can switch over to the language that you want and you can start using Twitter. As we've seen language growth, on the back end, we've also staffed up to make sure we have people who can respond to any kind of complaints or, reports that we get in the growing languages that we have. And then thirdly, what Colin mentioned, we're suddenly having a lot more interaction with people who want to tweet in that language and they want to learn how to use it. So you've got movies, you've got politicians, you'll have like other NGOs and civil society who say, hey, listen, I want to be on Twitter, but no longer in English. I want to be in this language. So that growth is coming, yeah.
The top hashtags last year, I think 2-3 of them were major South language movies. So I think, yeah, you have a very good user base there. Mahima, my next question would be to you. We all know Twitter Seva. It has reached its motive. In your words, what do you think? Was it able to achieve the motive it was launched with? And also, I may want to know who are the best performers? Which departments are most apt in using that platform?
Yeah, when we launched Twitter Seva, it was like a pilot, right? And we basically tested a simple theory. Can Twitter be used for grievance redressal by the government? And can there be direct engagement with the citizen? And I think the answer has been very positive. And so any ministry that actually has issues that they can solve for the citizen, so it's a ministry that actually has that kind of interface with the citizen, has been able to, on their end, staff up to be able to receive the incoming, then obviously solve the issue or the grievance, and then be able to come back to the citizen via Twitter. So I think, all of them have done well, but, in particular, I think Sushma Swaraj, the Minister for External Affairs, so she's been amazing, and I think a lot of people whose passport-related issues stranded in different countries, how do I get out of this country and get home? You can now tweet, you can tweet back home and say that I need some help, or a more general, something is stuck in the line and you don't know when you're receiving it, but your flight is tomorrow. So these kind of problems, no one knew where to go, and now you can actually tweet directly on the platform. We've also seen police use Twitter Seva. Absolutely. And what happens is that when there's this creative use of the platform, it's not just about updates, but you're actually solving people's problems, then you start using it in more and more creative ways that other police force around the country can use. So they actually have an NRI service, for example. So if you're living outside India, but your parents are in a small town in Uttar Pradesh and there's a problem, you can tweet to UP police now, and they have an NRI handle. So, such creative things come out of these ideas.
So now, Colin, because we are talking about so many things, we cannot ignore this major menace of fake news. So we all know that you are a big platform and it's an open platform, everyone uses it, and we cannot deny the fact that miscreants use it to spread polarized messages or fake news. So what is your strategy to bring it under control?
Well, certainly what we've seen with Twitter is that one of its great strengths is the fact that it's open and public. And that open public nature means that when content is shared, people can see it right away. They can see it in real time. They can interact with it. We also know that Twitter as a platform is a platform that is full of journalists and news organizations
Absolutely.
that have the ability to quickly refute, dispute, validate information, again, in real time for the people who use Twitter. We're also cognizant of the fact that that same openness may be misused and manipulated by bad faith actors to spread knowingly false and harmful information.
Considering the upcoming elections, I think the flow has increased. We have to mention that. So like, yeah, I think that'll be more apt to say things around elections. The flow is so much that you have to bring it under control.
So one of the things that we've been doing, because we looked at retrospectively the 2016 election in the United States, and the concern there was obviously with respect to online falsehoods, but also foreign interference. And we realized that people use Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, other social media apps, private messaging apps in different ways. And the way that people were attempting to manipulate and misuse Twitter was through malicious automation, the so-called bots.
Bot accounts.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So since that time, what we've been doing is investing in machine learning technologies to help technology solve and address some of the problems that technology itself is posing at scale. Twitter publishes some 500 million tweets a day. That's 1 billion tweets every 2 days.
Right.
It's a significant amount of content. And so to address this at scale, we have to invest in technology to help us do that.
Algorithms.
The malicious automation is something where we use essentially spam filters to look at accounts that are trying to obtain unearned distribution and manipulate the public spaces on Twitter, trying to game the trending topics list, trying to infiltrate and poison hashtags that may already be trending, where they're adding content unrelated to that hashtag. They know that people aren't necessarily following these accounts, so they have to find other ways to get that content in front of the people who use Twitter. We've made significant strides, we think, in going after this malicious automation. We've had the experience of the Mexican election last year in July, the Brazilian election in October, obviously the US midterms. And so with each election we learn countermeasures and strategies to address this type of content. But we're at a point now where we are challenging some 10 million accounts per week on Twitter to assess whether or not they're automated and robotic, or there are real human beings behind those accounts.
How feasible is it to imply artificial intelligence in, in identifying these accounts? Because we may talk about artificial intelligence, but you are a tech guy, you know it well. So you tell me the feasibility of bringing it on board.
Well, I'll give you, certainly machine learning has improved significantly over the last several years, and we're taking advantage of that improvement. If we go back, for example, and we look at the use case that was prevalent on Twitter 3.5, 4 years ago, it was that ISIS was using Twitter and other social media platforms for terrorist.
There are many other terrorist organizations that you have even
Correct.
slashed, I think, after that. Yeah.
And so 3.5 years ago, when we used technology, about 25% of the accounts that we removed for terrorist content on Twitter 3.5 years ago were identified using technology. That number in the last 6 months of reporting was some 91% of the accounts we removed for terrorist content on Twitter were identified using technology. 91%. But amazingly, 77% of the 91% were removed before they could do their first tweet. So we're getting very rapid at identifying where the machine learning technology has received significant data over time, where we can refine and calibrate the response. Obviously, the more machine learning learns, the more precise and refined it will be. But this is technology we're investing significantly in.
Colin, we just talked about Mexican elections and the midterm US elections. I'm sure you guys have learned a lot. How can you possibly imply the same in general elections in India that are about to happen?
I think what we've learned is to have a very close working relationship and open channels of communication with official election authorities, with the Election Commission. That worked well in other markets, and that is something we definitely are endeavoring to do here, so that we have open lines of communication so they can escalate to us any issues that arise on the platform. Working diligently to make sure that people are aware, both in civil society and within political parties and candidates, how to use Twitter, how to use it effectively, and what the Twitter rules are is important. And then finally, one of the things that we're bringing to India that we did not use in Mexico and Brazil, but test drove as a pilot in the United States in November, is this Ads Transparency Center, where we're going to provide users with more information about political advertising on Twitter during the election here in India, so that when somebody is promoting political advertisement, it will indicate that on the tweet.
Sponsored or
sponsored
something
by
like
and
that.
paid by,
Right.
and then you can click on that,
Right.
and it will take you to a transparency dashboard that will give you more information about who paid for the advertising, the tweets that are being advertised politically, and how much is being spent. So that additional transparency we think will be very
how much
valuable.
you spend is something that makes all the difference.
Yep.
I want to know one more thing that is going insane on Twitter. We cannot deny that trolling is a major part. Trolling is a term, I think, driven from Twitter itself. So you tell me, how are you planning to control, trolling that impacts? A little bit of trolling is okay, but major trolling, how are you planning to cover that up or bring it under control?
In a variety of ways. So over the last 2 years, we've made safety a significant priority for the company. And actually in the last year or so, we've made some 30 different changes to policies around safety and product features to enhance safety. So we have different features and ways that users themselves can help manage and navigate their own Twitter experience. But I think the biggest shift is to recognize that we can't put the burden on the victims to do this. And we want to make sure that we're alleviating some of the problems that were prevalent on the platform. We work very closely with safety groups. We have several safety groups here in India that we work closely with. There has also been initiatives that we've done around, in particular, gender-based harassment and safety trainings under Position of Strength, which is an initiative that is focused on women, where we train women not only on how to enhance their personal brand and to tweet effectively and to tweet with confidence and to tweet from a position of strength, but also to appreciate the fact that we want their voices on the platform, that if they feel bullied or harassed into silence, then we don't get the benefit of their free expression. We don't get the benefit of their perspectives. And so this is something that we take very seriously, and we've endeavored to make significant progress on.
I think I want Mahima's inputs on this. Like, how is Twitter helping in empowering women in India particularly?
Yeah, so I think one side of the coin Colin has explained, which is that the app now has so many more settings. Right. If you just go into your Twitter app and you look at your settings.
And yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah, so I mean, and you yourself see that it's a lot more than maybe what was available even a year ago. So you can put a lot of notification filters, you can use the quality filter, certain words you don't want to see on your timeline. So that choice is really available to the user, because we have to remember that not everyone's bandwidth is the same. Right. Some people want to see everything and some people don't. So we give that choice to the user. Right. But I think the second side is that we do programs that really elevate like positive content, and our recent campaign that we've launched with the Ministry for Women and Child Development with the Minister Mahima Kaul and Colin launched it together 2 days ago, is inviting nominations from across women across India and actually Indian women across the globe, voices that are Web Wonder Women is a name, so hashtag Web Wonder Women. Yeah, and everyone is welcome to send in their nominations. I'm sure you've seen a Twitter account of somebody amazing, this woman, and you feel like more people should know about her. What a great account. She talks about art or fashion or legal expertise, and so we really want to source those accounts and we want to recognize those voices. And I think showcasing that kind of positive content will also go a long way, as much as we are helping put down the negative content. So both things.
So I want to ask both of you, because this discussion should be about elections as we are almost in there. So what is the difference between 2014 general elections and 2019 general elections activity-wise? Like how user is reacting, with the election hashtags and election things compared to last year? What is the difference?
I think I'll comment first, and then Mahima should certainly add her perspective on it. But my understanding is that compared to last time around, first, more of the civic conversation in India is happening in Indic languages and not in English. Second, we definitely have noticed as part of the civic conversation, as part of that virtual public square, that it's a much more conversational use of Twitter. So not just simply sharing a perspective and leaving it at that, but engaging in question and answer and being conversational. And so the nature of Twitter being so open, public, and conversational.
Is it because of course the number of the user base has increased, and now you have, you know, wider range of people to give their inputs? Is it the reason?
Certainly there's been a demographic shift over time, which is understandable as technology has been deployed and adopted more broadly in India. But I also think there's something native to the diversity and cultural richness of India that is lending itself to that conversational tone. Mahima?
Yeah, and I think the work done on the product is also adding to it, because you can now thread tweets, you can quote tweets, you know, and so I think people are taking advantage. You can go live, you know. So I think
that's such an advanced thing to do. I mean, you want to see such things on public platforms,
and I think product features that platforms introduce drive, you know, interesting usage. So I think that's definitely, and what Colin said, I think a lot more people are online and there's a lot more diversity, there's a lot more regional flavor, and definitely compared to 5 years ago, we'll see that in this election.
Colin, I want to conclude it with one last question. We all know that a major chunk of Indian population is not very typing friendly. So can we expect a voice command based Twitter Seva kind of service in near future?
I'm not sure that we can promise that in the near future, but I think it's an interesting suggestion, and we'll take it back to our product team.
Oh wow, it was a very nice interaction. Thank you so much for being a part of it. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
So that was Colin and Mahima talking about Twitter's policies in India and globally. Thank you so much.